I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
And this is Fish Jelly.
Oh, yes.
How are you?
My head is spinning. I literally just stepped off a plane. Two planes.
Two planes.
Two planes. I took
X and Y.
a 9-hour flight from Berlin to Newark, of all places, and then from there to LA. Those are two kind of long flights.
You were at the 74th Berlin International Film Festival.
Yes, I was.
How many films did you watch?
46, I believe.
I'm sure you had a great time.
Yeah. I practice self-care. But yeah, no, I mean, you know that I love going to that city, and this year the festival itself, there were some rough patches with some of the competition selection titles, but overall I think it was a pretty decent year. And then, after going so many years, I have like a handful of other fellow film journalists I really enjoy hanging out with, and you share kind of a very similar schedule to everybody else, so all day long you can choose to be with specific people, so it's interesting.
Well, as usual, we'll make a video for YouTube with your best and worst.
Yes.
So is there anything outside of that you'd like to share, or?
No, because I'm sure we'll talk about what the jury selected for the winners, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we can hold all that.
We'll save that for a later date. So there's a YouTube channel called the Cinema Squad, which is made up of 5 different YouTubers. So they each have their own movie review channels, but then they came together like the Avengers.
Or the what's that? The Defenders.
What's that from?
Isn't that the Sigourney Weaver?
Marvel? Right. Yes. To present an awards ceremony called the Rubber Duckies, and we were invited to present at their 3rd annual Rubber Duckies.
Yes.
We presented the award for Best Motion Picture. I won't say who won. I will put a link to that YouTube video in the description of this podcast. As all award shows are, this one is long. It's a little over 3 hours. So I watched all of it, and I had a fun time watching it. But if people just want to see us, you can skip to exactly the 3-hour mark, and that's when we present the award. But I had fun. I would do it again.
Sure. Yeah, it was an honor.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Well, let's start with this. So Tyler Perry discovered AI, y'all.
Oh, God.
So he halted like an $800 million expansion on his studio because now he doesn't need to worry about.
Those contractors are mad.
People had commented about it, assuming we would talk about it. I'm not so. I don't expect much from Tyler Perry.
But it's like, God, he was going to spend $800 million on expanding his studios. Do you know he could give $1 million to 800 up and coming Black filmmakers to make a movie?
Well, the amount is astronomical.
But
also like he's not. I don't think he is a talented filmmaker, so it's like, so now you want to extract even more creativity from the process.
So now you want the AI formula of your particular brand of bullshit. That it can only be better.
Actually, that's what I was gonna say. Is AI might improve his storytelling.
It'll smooth out some stuff, but it'll still be milquetoast, though. That's the problem with AI products. It's generated to be baseline.
But I don't know. What I read was that his comment, it's more about like not needing physical sets for like certain environments and backgrounds if it can all be done green screen and enhanced with AI. So, I mean, he's still creating projects, still hiring actors. So,
he's certainly not interested in using locations. Look how he did, but aren't they in the Bahamas and Why Did I Get Married Too? You don't even see that.
Yeah, coming from him, this doesn't feel like such a hit to the art of cinema, because it's like he doesn't really seem to care about that in the first place.
Well, exactly. That's what's funny about it, though, is like you don't give a fuck about telling a good story. That's why you're so cavalier about being like, yeah, AI.
So I wanted to rant about a few things. So I'm just gonna start. And these are just random. I have had to contact customer service for a number of things over the past 2 weeks.
Oh,
And I hate when I'm on the phone trying to give someone my credit card number or my address and they interrupt me after every number.
uh-huh.
So they'll say, okay, what's your credit card number? And I'm like, 5432. Okay, yep. Oh, okay, 190. Oh, yep. Okay. Well, yep. Let me keep going. And then they don't hear it all because they keep interrupting me.
Yeah.
Same thing. I had to give my address and phone number, and they kept like after every part of it. Like, stop that. I thought, let me just say my credit card number. Why do you need to interrupt me after every like 4 numbers I give you, and then you don't hear me? And
Well, a lot of people tend to get overwhelmed very easily. So.
well, you know what? I didn't even think about that. Maybe they're doing that but then it's also like you probably shouldn't be working customer service if you can't handle the intake of information. But
Well, sometimes we get stuck.
then in the same vein, I wonder if anyone else has had this problem, but at Vaughn's and Pavilions, the grocery store, my Apple Pay doesn't work at all.
Yes, I know this is a problem for you.
And I've heard some cashiers say, oh, yeah, we don't take Wells Fargo or something. And it's like, that can't be true. That a major chain of grocery stores doesn't take payment from a major bank.
Well, no,
using a major phone.
Well, I use my Wells Fargo card, but I don't.
I can use my Wells Fargo physical card, but my
physical.
Apple Pay I can't.
Okay.
But it works everywhere else. So it's not I don't know what's going on. But I was triggered the other day because I know this, so I usually don't try. But I had left the bag that I carry with my money in it. I left it in my car, so all I had was my phone to pay. So I tried it, thinking maybe it works, and the lady was so like loud about it. Your card declined, and it's like I felt like I was in a skit because then I'm trying to explain to her like I'm not even trying to explain to her that it didn't decline. I'm just saying, can I hold I'm trying to explain to her, like, can I just leave my stuff here quickly while I run to my car so that I can get like a card? But she was so adamant about just telling me like, your card declined. She said it like 5 times. Like, yes, I see it's not going through. Okay.
Have you thought that it might be her only small act of vengeance on those she has to serve?
If there's anyone out there who works for Vaughn's, Pavilions, I believe that's part of the Safeway group. Can someone look into this? Because I'm so tired of this embarrassment. Moving on. I have ventured out a few times in the past couple of weeks, and I think that because I don't go out often, and I'm not often around people, also because like I work from home, and but bad breath seems to be a problem, and I think that.
Hey, Jasmine Masters, Jesus.
Well, because I think no one's going to tell you, right? They're just going to like recoil and just tolerate your hot ass breath until they can get away from you, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like, it's like how like it wasn't until I was older that I realized I was supposed to wash behind my ears. Because, with my hair texture, I don't wash my hair every day. So it wasn't until my aunt told me, like, you need to wash behind your ears. And now looking back as an adult, she probably said that because it probably like the shit probably looked dirty and smelled bad. Or I remember when someone told me like you should, scrape your tongue or, but yeah, I'm often surprised like whole ass adults just are not aware. It's
well,
like
if we're talking about it in a drinking environment as well, and people lose themselves in the music, the moment.
It's like it's midnight. You haven't brushed your teeth since you went to go to. I mean, you haven't brushed your teeth since like 4 p.m. before you went to dinner.
Right.
You had dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Then you were running around. Then you ended up at this bar. You've been drinking all night. So now it's 8 hours after you brush your teeth and ate, probably smoked a cigarette, drinking. Like,
Where's the gum?
chew
Chew
some
some
gum at
gum.
least.
Yes.
Get some mints. Like, how do you not?
But I mean, you and I have always had gum. Um, I think that's breath has always been something I've been very self conscious about, though.
Yeah. Then I know there's a component of it, like people's dental health, right? Like, if you have like tooth decay, that can really, I mean,
Yeah.
that can be a very serious problem. People not cleaning their tongues properly. You need to scrape your tongue. Also, you remember back in the, I believe it was the late 90s, there was that, um, like those capsules called Breath Assure.
No, I
Do you
don't
remember those?
know.
They were,
I remember those Listerine strips.
no, it was before that.
Okay.
There were these capsules that came in like the same. I know people know what I'm talking about. They were these little gel caps, and basically it was attacking bad breath from the inside.
Uh-huh.
And I bought them a few times. They're basically like these. I don't know what was in them, but they had like minty whatever, and but also like your diet can
Well,
affect it. If you suffer from acid reflux and all that, like what you eat can affect how you smell.
if you had some broccoli and then drank a lot of beer, I mean,
Yeah. So
broccoli comes up
it's just the
in
general
smells.
PSA that you just need to be diligent. Like it probably just is a good idea to just chew some sugar-free mint gum.
Yes.
Or maybe, if you don't want to carry around a toothbrush and brush in between, you can buy those disposable toothbrushes that are like, they have that little gel in the middle, and all it requires is the saliva in your mouth to get it going. And then you just throw it away. And there's a little pick on the end so you can pick shit out of your teeth. You got to be diligent, because I'm so tired of people getting in my face and then I have to recoil. And then I know the look on my face is like, I seem stank. And it's like, because you stank. That's why I seem stank, because you stink. But the main thing I wanted to talk about, which I'm sure you'll have some thoughts on, is I've noticed on my Instagram over the past like month or so that there have been a number of people sharing links to their GoFundMes. And if some of them are listening, just consider this advice from, your uncle. I don't know, but I think, especially for the people which all of these people are very active on social media and present a certain lifestyle, like you've made it very clear. And some of these people have actually said to me in person, like that they have an aversion to work, that they don't want to work a 9 to 5, that they want to live their life and enjoy life. So of the 3 people I'm mentioning, none of them have full-time, like real jobs or even part-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, all of them have shared links to their GoFundMes.
What do you mean shared them?
Like on Instagram.
Like
so
for the world to
yes,
see? Oh.
yes. So saying like times have been hard, so I need money.
Do I know these people?
2 of them you do. So in one case, this person who has been very like vocal about like not wanting to work because they want to do what they want to do and pursue the career they want. They recently had their car towed, and they posted about it.
Oh,
saying like, oh, like
so
they
towed or repoed?
Towed, because the car had stopped running, like it had broken down, and they just parked it on the street for like 2 months.
Do I know who? I know this person.
You probably, well, no, I know that you do. Okay, I'm not going to say who it is, but their car got towed.
Not laughing at the misery of it, but yeah.
So then they posted this, they made a post like in memoriam of this car. Like, I've had you for all these years and you got me around wherever, and I'm grateful to you. But now hopefully someone, the way this person worded the post, and because I am familiar with this person, I'm like, oh, you don't know how this kind of shit works. If your car gets towed, it goes to an impound lot.
You go get it.
Who do you think is responsible for the cost of that?
Yeah, it doesn't go to an auction lot.
But the way this person posted it was like, oh, maybe like someone else can now use it. And it's like, no, this car's still registered to you, fool.
It's not like taking dogs to the pound.
So then I'm expecting to witness on social media like an update. And sure enough, a week later, there's a link to a GoFundMe because they need like close to $1,000 to get it out of the impound and then do all this stuff.
That does seem high to get it out of impound, doesn't it?
Nah, well,
I've had my car towed before, and
yeah, but you didn't have it towed. Like you got it towed because you were involved in an accident, and
no, I parked in the wrong spot once and had to go get my car out of an impound lot.
yeah, but you also pay for the days that it's there.
Oh, sure. Like I got it that night, but
So the so that there's that example. Another example is a person who has also been very vocal on social media about how like they want to pursue their dreams, so they're not going to waste their time working like a job that isn't in that direction.
good
So
luck.
then they just don't, I guess, just don't care about paying bills,
Mhm.
and they shared a link to a GoFundMe because they need money for like a home repair.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, you gotta.
and then the third person also doesn't work
Mhm.
and was doing something that they could do from home, and then decided that they were going to even stop doing that. So didn't want to have a real job, and then was kind of working from home like under the table, and then decided to stop doing that to do porn.
Mhm.
And then the government, the IRS, seized their OnlyFans money
Mhm.
because they owed creditors.
Yeah.
So then they shared a GoFundMe link to help pay these bills. So I guess the overwhelming feeling I have is that if you're going to be stupid enough to show like that the way you approach life is like not responsible, or that somehow you don't need to go to work like the rest of us, I don't think people need to suffer the way I have and work every day since they were 16 just to make sure they have money. No, if you want to live on the edge and not feel stable, then that's your business. But then you can't put that out there and then think that someone like me is going to give
Well,
you
right. I'm
$20.
not Boo Boo the Fool, nor am I Blanche Dubois. I don't depend on the kindness of strangers, and I've made sure to live a life where I didn't need to. I don't want to be beholden to anybody, including my parents. And the only way that I knew how to do that was to fucking get a job. And the first jobs you get are shit and terrible, but you are you have the ability to shape that trajectory a bit.
Yeah.
You don't just get to exist. Like, yeah, that shit drives me crazy too.
It drives me crazy because I've had people say to me, uh, to paraphrase, that I'm a chump for playing the game of like having a corporate job and doing all that. But I always want to push back on that. Like, so how am I a chump when I checked all the boxes?
Mhm.
So I have a nice income, stability, a nice home, a nice car, all the things I'm supposed to have by exchanging some of my time to do something that's not that complicated for me to
No,
do.
and eventually you can build yourself up enough to not be struggling so hard to
Right.
also simultaneously
Pursue
pursue
your
the things
passion.
that you love and pursue them without them dragging you down into the fucking grave because you can't land an audition and the shit's exhausting and then you're stuck to without health insurance because you're working all these chicken shit gigs at restaurants in LA. Like, no,
Get a damn
get
job.
the system to work for you.
Right. Right. And I think I could go on and on. I don't want to, but yeah, you're not going to get a lot of sympathy from me. First of all, to hear people complain about money, and it's like you work like 20 hours a week, you need to up it to 40 before you come to me with these issues.
Yeah.
Like, to complain about the cost of living in LA and you don't work full time is insane. It would be My life would be expensive for me too if I didn't work a real job, like a full-time job. So I don't understand, like, it, I'm embarrassed for people to see that they're like, where's your integrity? Where's your pride? To me, a person who's proud is a person who does what they have to do to take care of their responsibilities, whatever that is. And if you think you're too good to take some menial job, then I think that you're a chump.
Well, yeah.
Because if you
Well,
really had pride and integrity, you would be happy to show up and earn an honest living so that you don't have to appeal to strangers.
strange. Well, actually, there should be a new word that is coined for this is strategy.
One of the people, part of their GoFundMe, because then after I thought I was going to talk about it, I actually went to the GoFundMe's to read the full story.
Uh-huh.
And one of them is like, all of my credit cards are maxed out, so I can't. And it's like, now hold up. When that first card was maxed out, you didn't think, let me work some more hours? Because I know for a fact you don't work a real job.
I mean, it's hard. I've been in credit card debt.
Yeah, but you also had a job.
Yes,
That's different.
but even with a good job, it is hard to get out.
Yeah, but that's a very separate situation.
Yeah.
That's separate because yeah. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you don't do everything you can do, and then and then life hits you with like responsibilities, and now you want to. We're not talking about 20-year-olds.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So it's just like, yeah, this is a wake up call.
we're talking to people that, well, at least one of these people that I am getting from the clues is mid-30s now, at least.
Yeah.
Right. So I think. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, like early 30s. But yeah, so this is just my little PSA. Like, you need to do better and take responsibility. And I don't know why you think you're winning by what? Well, it's true.
But the strategy that you're using here is like in the classroom when one kid does something wrong, so the teacher's got to talk to all the kids.
Well, well, maybe some people need to hear it. Like, it's not cute. It's not cute to be a whole ass adult. Like, you are a whole ass adult. You have a receding hairline and everything. Like, you need to. It doesn't make sense to get on social media and ask for $1,700.
Well, see, that's where the glitch in the grid is. Like the avatar of your presentation is like, oh, but you live a fabulous life, but
right. But then you post like
you
how every day you brag about not working, and every day is you going, I'm sorry, but if you don't have money and you don't work, why are you walking every day to go buy $9 cold brew? Right. I don't even do that. And I can afford to do that, because to me that seems kind of excessive.
I feel like if you have an OnlyFans and you're doing a lot of porn and you still need help money paying the bills, like, God, that just sounds exhausting to me.
That too. Like, I mean, your booty hole's blown out and you can't even pay basic bills. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
That's hard on your body, girl.
Like, okay, I'm sorry. I'll move on. I want to talk about in the restaurant section, because this morning I had a craving for Long John Silver's.
Yeah,
but then I decided not to, because of the closest or the only Long John Silver to us is in Compton, which is far away.
And we have been there.
We have been there, but it's far away. So like the only time to go is when there's no traffic, because even then it'd still be like a 30-minute drive. So I opted not to do it because I'm like, I don't need to eat all this grease and calories at like 10 o'clock at night. But then I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll satisfy another urge or craving I've been having, which is egg slut.
Okay.
Because I haven't had egg slut since.
I don't think I've ever had it, because every time we go to the downtown market, it is busy,
packed.
And I'm not waiting for that.
No. So this morning I woke up early as usual and I did all my little chores. And so it was like 7 o'clock when I was done.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go drive to Excellent. They open at 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I got parking. Like the Excellent I went to, because there are 2 in LA. The one I went to is in downtown LA at Grand Central Market. Mm-hmm. So, which is on Broadway by Precinct, the gay bar. Mm-hmm. And I got like the most VIP parking possible on Broadway, closest to Grand Central Market. So I'm like, great. So I got out of the car and the Grand Central Market hadn't opened yet. So I kind of just walked for like 15 minutes. The important part of the story is that my car is currently being serviced. So I was given a loaner car, as they usually do. And this loaner car is also a very nice, expensive car. Uh-huh. So I parked downtown this morning and I walk around for like 15 minutes, go get my food, eat it. Then I went to another place and got a croissant and a maple latte that was very good. And the lady who worked there was very nice. Eat that and then sort of meander back to the car. Uh-huh. And I sit in the car and I look and see that I left that car key on the front, like on the seat, the passenger seat, in broad daylight. The windows to this car are not tinted.
Oh boy. Okay.
So the car wasn't locked and the key was sitting right there.
Well, you're lucky it was early morning.
Oh God. My heart sank, because I'm like, that's all I need is, well, because really all it would have been, well, I don't actually know.
A mess. It would have been a headache.
It would have been a mess. But
You do things like that though.
egg slut, I the food's fine. I think the secret to why people love it is the bun that they put it on. It's like a brioche type, like buttery bun.
Like Sierra's.
Yeah, yeah, and it looks like that, like shiny and smooth. But
Uh-huh.
the yeah, I don't know that I would wait because I got there right when they opened and there was already a line forming.
Oh, that shit's
So there
annoying.
were like 10 people in front of me. So I had to wait like, I didn't have to wait that long, maybe like 8 minutes, but that's still a long time to
It's
order.
not the bun, it's the name.
So,
It's the name that people are.
but there are people who wait like half an hour to order or longer.
Mhm.
I don't think these sandwiches are that great.
Remember back in the day when that would be sprinkles?
Oh God, yeah. When people would wait forever to get
Because
sprinkles.
when we'd first moved to LA, the sprinkles was a big thing. And for one Valentine's Day, I waited in line to get some things, and it took an hour.
Yeah, then they have little hash brown, like tater tot rounds that are like with truffle oil, and they're tasty, but you only get like 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not super expensive. The sandwich with the tater tots was like $14
What's that other place, that donut place we often get something from? Well, not often, but
in Grand Central Market.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
they-
that one always has a line, and then their specialty, I think, are those strawberry donuts.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Anytime I have to, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to wait.
I feel stupid because then it's because even on Saturday morning, Friday morning, whatever. Some morning I woke up really early and I thought, oh, I'm gonna go get coffee from someplace I haven't been. So I found this one place in Silver Lake that had good reviews, and it was packed. The line was long.
Uh-huh.
And then I see like 2 buildings down is another coffee shop.
No one there.
With no one there. And their specialty is like they're like a dog coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about dogs, and dogs are welcome, and all the stuff is kind of like dog themed, and they sell empanadas. So they have like breakfast empanadas.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a really weird menu, but I got a breakfast empanada, and then I got some kind of like cardamom cinnamon cold brew. It was a little overpriced, but I thought I would have felt so stupid waiting for half an hour to get my coffee when I know it couldn't have been that much better than the coffee I just got where I didn't have to wait.
Yeah.
The only things I'll wait for are things I know I can't get anywhere else, like masa pizza.
Yeah.
You know, and even then we won't. If it's too long to be seated, I won't do it. But I think we should take a break. Films released we didn't cover: Ordinary Angels.
Hilary Swank, starring in a faith-based film.
Oh.
Directed by somebody named John Gunn. Hillary, you got to give it to Hillary, 2-time Oscar winner Hilary Swank. She does it is about the work.
What's that movie she did with Michael Ealy?
Fatal.
And then what's the one she did where like her son killed the other son, or
something about
it had a weird name, like
The Good Mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not afraid to be ugly, which I appreciate about her, but I don't know. I don't want to see this. But,
we reviewed both of those movies.
I just yeah, whatever.
About Dry Grasses.
This was excellent. Nuri Bilge Ceylan, the esteemed Turkish auteur, this premiered in Cannes, winning the Best Actress prize. If I hadn't been out of the country, I probably would have suggested you take a gamble on a Ceylan film. I thought it was great. But that opened this past weekend.
Io Capitano.
I believe this was Oscar nominated, the new Matteo Garrone film from Italy. I saw it in Venice this past year, and I think it's just okay. I've seen many refugee stories from Italy specifically that are kind of like this film, but it has some nice moments of magical fantasy, blah, blah, blah. But it's fine. I mean, if you like him, I'd recommend it. But I think I don't understand, out of all the wonderful films released this year from all over the globe, this snagged one of those 5 slots.
Parallel.
This follows the journey of Vanessa, a grief-stricken woman who mysteriously finds herself navigating between parallel spaces. Starring Aldous Hodge and Danielle Deadwyler, both of whom I like.
Red Right Hand.
Okay, so I did watch this. right after I landed in Berlin, I had a screener that was going to expire. Stars Orlando Bloom and Andy McDowell. It's directed by Esham and Ian Nelms, who previously did that Santa Claus movie with Mel Gibson called Fat Man
Oh,
that we reviewed.
yeah.
This is not good, but I will say Andy McDowell as this vicious backcountry like woman running some crime syndicate is pretty fun to watch. And so if you like Andy McDowell at all, I did enjoy her in this, but the rest of it is caca.
Lastly, they shot the piano player.
This is an animated film from Fernando Trueba, co-directed with Javier Mariscal, and Jeff Goldblum does a voice. So I would be interested in seeing this.
Projects of interest. Argento's doing something.
Okay, so I've talked about this, and I came up with a little theory while I was in Berlin.
Oh, okay.
Because Dario Argento and Isabelle Huppert are supposedly going to be working together, and they both talked about it. They said it's going to be a remake of a 1940s Mexican genre film from the 40s, right? But we refused to say anything else, right? So Isabel, happened to post like 10 things she'd watched for the first time on some, I forget the name of the site, but I wrote something up about it. But that invites notable people at the end of every year. They can share either their top 10 favorites or things they've watched for the first time. So Isabel shared what she'd seen for the first time this year. And one of them was La Otra, starring Dolores Del Rio from 1946 as twins, one who kills the other and assumes the identity. It's that movie that was also made with Betty Davis twice.
Yeah.
Stolen Life and Dead Ringer. That has to be it. That has to be the 40s Mexican film that has Isabel hungry to work for Dario Argento.
Well, y'all heard it here first.
I'm not a betting man. I don't like losing money, but it has to be. Why would she watch that anyway? I think that's it.
Save the Green Planet.
Yorgos Lanthimos has announced that he's going to officially, I think is the next project. He already has one in the can with Emma Stone after Poor Things, but Save the Green Planet, which is remake of a 2006 South Korean film that I have seen, and it is very bizarre and weird, and apparently Emma will also be in it.
Lastly, Sam Mendes is up to something.
He is directing 4 separate Beatles biopics for John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
Oh, wow.
And they are all supposedly going to be set for release in 2027.
Oh, that's clever.
That's bold. Do we need that?
Well, I'm not interested at all, but I know people like the Beatles. So.
Yeah, but okay.
I'm not watching those 4 movies for sure. But I shouldn't say that. Who knows?
2027.
I probably won't even be here.
Oh my god.
Anyway, moving on. So the secret film this week was sort of a...
We didn't talk about for fun films.
Don't we do that for the Patreon?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Someone has the wine bottle right in front of them.
That was in my hand.
So the secret film this week was sort of a compromise because it had to be something that was available on Nick's flight back home.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me a few options, and I sort of hastily chose one.
They were
without much thought.
They were highlighting the works of Denzel Washington,
and then I thought, oh well, it's still Black History Month, so let's go with the film with a black lead.
And it's perfect because we did Malcolm X right before I left.
So I chose the 1993 American legal thriller film, The Pelican Brief, based on a novel by John Grisham.
I read this as a kid in 1993.
Directed by Alan J. Pakula,
who is Clute.
With Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
Oh,
and he had Sophie's Choice with Meryl Streep. He
directed that.
Oh yeah, he's got The Sterile Cuckoo was his debut with Liza Minnelli, which I highly recommend.
Oh, well, yeah, I had never seen it. You read the book as a kid, and you've seen this movie before.
I did.
You owned the DVD, which required. So Nick watched it on the plane. And he's like, "Well, we have the DVD in the house, but just know that you're gonna have to flip it." So it's one of those. This movie feels too long, and then the fact that I had to flip the disc made it even worse. What is the Pelican Brief about? A law student uncovers a conspiracy, putting herself and others in danger. That's the IMDb premise. Overall, what do you think about the Pelican Brief?
I have fond memories, but it's a very so-so film. And I think that Pakula is trying to, and remember this movie's because of the craze for the Grisham craze that started with The Firm, that lasted all the way, I think, at least until 2003's Runaway Jury. But this was one of those films that I think the book was written with Julia Roberts playing this character in mind, if I am recalling correctly. And it feels like something like that. It's trying to follow in the footsteps of not only The Firm, but Pakula's classic All the President's Men, where the reporters find Deep Throat.
Yes. I thought this was kind of weak. I don't like the organization of the story. It feels overly long because of how the story is told. I feel like the final hour or an hour of the movie, I mean, not the final hour, I think the last 5 minutes are fine, but like an hour of the film seems unnecessary. So anyway, Julia Roberts plays this law student,
Darby Shaw,
who happens to be dating one of her law professors,
which is Sam Shepard.
And during this period, we see that not one, but two Supreme Court justices have been murdered.
One of whom is the great Hume Cronin.
Well, I'll get to it. So these two justices have been murdered / assassinated. So obviously we're thinking it's for political reasons or legislative reasons. So we learn that the current president, played by
Robert Culp, who's very kind of Reagan-y to me.
He has a significant donor whose character name I think is Matisse.
Yes.
And Matisse is this super rich person who was trying to drill for oil, I believe, in Louisiana.
Yeah.
But there were these like environmental protection groups trying to stop him, and they were successful because the Supreme Court backed up a decision to protect the area he was drilling because of the wildlife, including pelicans. Okay.
Flyer than a pelican, find a chick better than I don't see her.
Heavy like a first day period.
Yeah.
Shout out to Janet Jackson's feedback. But so getting back to Julia Roberts, the law student, her boyfriend, the law professor, he used to be a clerk for one of the justices who was killed.
Hume.
And he considered this justice a mentor. So he is distraught. Like he's saying he's depressed, that he's like drinking. And
well, he's already an alcoholic.
He's already an alcoholic, and this has pushed him over the edge. And he's saying like, I'm going to need to take some time away to write a book about this. And it's so stupid.
As one does.
And then Julia Roberts takes time off from law school, like a week, to research and write a paper about who she thinks killed the two justices,
based on the shared decision that the two had ruled on together.
Her doing this makes about as much sense as Jennifer Lopez making that movie This Is Me Now. Like no one asked for this. Why are you doing this?
No one asked for this, but also it's very much of the 90s with how information was shared or needed to be found in a way that nowadays this would be immediately like the minute that news story hit, there would be these conspiracy theorists online. Like it's just funny. Like I have to take a week to do look fashionable and do research in the library
and go get public documents.
Yeah.
But anyway, Julia writes the Pelican Brief, which is her sort of hypothesis, which is the actual story I just said, that this political donor orchestrated the assassinations, because since he is friends with the president or controls the president, which feels very House of Cards feels like this, that he can get two new justices appointed who will overturn the ruling so that he can drill in Louisiana. And
which is all really such a gamble, because even the people Trump appointed, I think, surprised him sometimes with decisions they've made.
Sure. Yeah, because then it's like, so you're going to appoint people who specifically will work on this issue, but that could backfire on you, because what if they rule on other things that are not in your favor? Like,
right.
But anyway, we see that we know who's responsible, so they're trying to stop Julia Roberts from telling.
Well, because she gives it to Sam Shepard, he gives it to his best friend John Hurd, and then
who's a lawyer for the FBI. That gets passed around. So one by one, everyone who has seen the Pelican Brief starts to die. And Julia Roberts goes into hiding. And then she reaches out to Denzel Washington, who's a reporter. And she reaches out to him because her now dead boyfriend, because the boyfriend dies in a car bombing that was intended for the two of them.
Yeah.
But they got into a fight and she didn't get in the car.
Because he was drunk driving.
So the dead ex-boyfriend like spoke highly of Denzel's character as a journalist.
Yes.
So that's how she knew or felt that she could trust him. So she reaches out to Denzel. He meets with her. And then the second half of the movie is them running around trying to evade being murdered, but also...
And track down the contact that's been anonymously calling him from the law firm that has also seen these documents.
Because Denzel's boss, played by John Lithgow, is saying, like, I'm not going to print this story because we're going to get sued from here to high heaven if we don't have like real facts. So you need to produce Darby Shaw, Julia Roberts' character, and then another piece of evidence. And so that's why they're trying to find this like anonymous tipster. And we find out that that anonymous tipster is a lawyer that Matisse had worked with, who has evidence that shows that they were trying to
at White and Blazevich. I'm looking for White and Blazevich.
Implicating that Matisse had said that how much easier things would be if these two justices in particular were dead. So of course they're able to do that. And then the end of the film is the aftermath, which is, so then we see that, oh, Denzel published his article and now it's a big scandal and Matisse has been charged with this and the president's not going to run for re-election and his chief of staff, played by Tony Goldwyn, resigned and blah, blah, blah. And Julia Roberts, in exchange for helping, she asks for a flight out of the country so she can start a new life until the heat is off her. The end. I didn't care for this movie because within the first like 45 minutes, we learn everything that...
It becomes an elongated cat and mouse movie.
Yeah, so then we get over an hour of just like them running around, but we already know who the killer is because we meet the killer right away. Stanley Tucci
is the assassin.
Assassin. So we see him kill the two
justices. Yeah, justices. One of them in a porno theater.
One of them appears to be gay. Yeah, because he's in like a gay porno thing. And so we already know who's responsible for the actual killing. Then we know who hired the killing or which is this political donor. You know, there are a few light questions like, oh, was the president aware? And the answer is no. The president's kind of clueless.
He's clueless, but he also asked the head of the FBI, Voiles, to put a pin in investigating his donor.
Yeah, he says like back off because if this scandal comes out before the election, I'm never going to win.
Right.
So he's telling him like, can you wait? But
it's obstructing justice.
I feel like there was very little, like there was nothing to look forward to.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm just going to go through my notes. Hume Cronin,
Jessica Tandy's husband.
I don't understand why they put him in that old man makeup.
Well, he was old then.
But they put him in old man makeup.
Yeah.
He looks like that one Mystery Science, the...
Colleen Gray, the leech woman. Gravy makeup.
The one with the black lady, where when she comes out looking young, they go, oh, Miss Jackson, if you're...
Yeah, leech woman.
He looks like that. Like he's wearing like paper mache on his face. It looks terrible.
Yeah, where he's standing there with Denzel.
Why do they need to do that? Why couldn't they have just hired an old grizzly man? I don't understand. It looked ridiculous. Then when Hume's character gets killed by Stanley Tucci, because he's like dead to the bed anyway, like almost, and he's there with his nurse. Did you notice that there were like 50 bottles of medication on the counter? Yeah. It was an obscene amount. You wouldn't even see that many bottles out at the pharmacy.
This was RBG, wasn't it? Hanging on.
Oh my God. It was comical. So that's when Stanley Tucci kills that justice. Then when he goes to kill the other justice at the gay, like adult theater, Stanley looks so crazy because his hair, you know, he's balding. So he wears a wig in one scene. And then when he goes to the gay bar, he's trying to do like a Freddie Mercury look, like look gay. And he has this like old gay ass mustache on. He was hamming it up.
Oh, yeah.
I think Stanley Tucci's attractive, but he was so smarmy in this. And then he sits down in the porno theater. Excuse me, and every person in there is there to like be sexual.
Yeah.
But Stanley Tucci has
Popcorn.
popcorn, and I'm thinking there used to be a an adult theater in West Hollywood called, no, I'm forgetting, because
Kit Kat? No.
yeah, it had two names. It used to be called Dick's, or not Dick's, Tom's or something.
Yeah, and then it
And then
became.
before that, it was something for a very long time. But I have gone in there once with a friend, and they did serve popcorn.
Yeah, they do.
So then I'm thinking,
Just
like,
like they do at some bathhouses.
who wants to eat popcorn? But then I thought, do they do it for the grease? Like, do they like oily hands?
Ew.
I don't know. Like, do you want buttery genitals? But the way Stanley Tucci kills that guy is he's wearing a rope as a belt, and he like snaps his neck with the rope in the theater in front of other people.
Yeah,
That felt very bold.
it did.
Then we hear Tony Goldwyn, who, you know, I like Tony Goldwyn.
Yeah, this was shortly after Ghost.
He's so handsome, and he kind of reminds me almost in this movie of like a Tom Holland. He kind of has that look,
that hair.
But when he's reporting on what happened to the gay justice, he goes, "Oh yeah, he was at a queer bar or a queer club."
You know, there's a queer undercurrent running throughout this, because if you remember in the first lecture where we meet Julia Roberts,
That's right,
sitting next to Cynthia Nixon, the court case that Sam Shepard is talking about is Bowers versus Hardwick from 1986, which was the court case that cemented our ability to have sex privately.
yeah, because it was about sodomy and the privacy of your own home.
Yes, and it's funny that this came out in 93. It would be a decade from then. It would be, I think it's 2003 with Lawrence v. Texas, where that Bowers versus Hardwick is finally overturned. But yeah, that's interesting with the other subtext of that.
So Julia Roberts and her professor boyfriend being so invested in these assassinations felt so silly. Like, I understand for the professor, it's like, oh, my mentor was killed, but he's just immediately distraught, and then he's like, I have to go away and write a book about it.
I thought she seemed like she's trying to get him to stop drinking. It seemed like she was trying to distract him with this, maybe.
I mean, we can talk about what might have been better at the end, but yeah, I just thought that was a really crunchy start to all of this. Then there's a janitor who works in the White House, like
very much like in House of Cards.
In House of Cards, who works like, I mean, we see him sweeping like in front of the Oval Office, like with the door open so he can hear everything. And then we see that he feeds Denzel Washington, this reporter, information. I can't believe that someone who has that kind of proximity to not only the president, but the Oval Office, like, would just be so free to, like, that people wouldn't follow his ass around.
But he's also one of the two characters in this that kind of shows that Black people stick together. Like when Denzel is trying to get the student information,
and the lady helps him,
and this Black student comes out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, that student. That's right.
He comes out of nowhere to be like, "Hey."
Yeah, I didn't think either of those scenarios made sense, but especially for the janitor at the White House, right. Like, that just seemed too
well,
ridiculous.
Especially because they put me on medical leave.
Yeah. Then Denzel, there's a point where he's trying to chase the person who gave him the anonymous tip because he traced the phone, and he is dressed. He's running around this, like, obviously sort of like corporate environment, wearing like a hoodie.
Yeah, I thought that too. Yeah.
And I thought that, like, there's no way Denzel thought that first of all, he's trying to be discreet, but you're very noticeable running around like that.
Yeah.
At this time, and then you're dressed like that, and you look like you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, and then he tries to get a cab and the cab won't let him in, and he's mad. I just thought, like, you look insane. You look like a stereotype right now. Like, I can't believe that you don't realize that, but okay. Oh God, I like Julia Roberts probably more than you. But
over the years, my disinterested in her has lifted a bit. Maybe.
But I didn't think she was that captivating in this, and I thought her acting was like,
oh, she's like giving extra.
Like the moment when she sees her boyfriend blow up in that car, and like it's like she's trying to play this character so fragile, and she
has a hard time with the distress of it all.
I hated that the president seemed like a big old oaf.
He's stupid
because
that's why he seemed like Reagan to me.
Well, I'm supposing they were trying to make it seem like, oh, he could be easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And
Well, he's just playing with his dog.
but it almost honestly, there were times when I thought Leslie Nielsen could have played this.
Yeah.
Like it almost felt like Leslie Nielsen. Cynthia Nixon looks like if Kira from the Dark Crystal
Oh,
were like vegan and made her own soap.
she seems sweet. She gave off a sweetness.
I thought she looked crazy. We find out that Julia Roberts has money from her father, I guess, who died.
I don't know how she's pulling it out of the bank to evade being tracked.
She's so smart, but then she doesn't realize that every time you use like banking, they're going to track you. And that's how they keep finding her.
Right,
I was so frustrated. Like, you're so smart that you came up with the Pelican Brief, but you've never thought that like you keep using your credit card. At one point, she says, "Oh, I'll pay cash."
Yeah.
But then in the end, when she asks for like asylum, basically, it's like, you don't have all of your dad's money in cash on you. So don't you think if someone wanted to find you, they could track your financial whatever?
Yeah.
Getting back to Stanley Tucci seeming smarmy, there's a point where he has to pretend to be, who's the lawyer for the FBI?
John Hurd.
John
From
Hurd.
Home Alone.
So he makes himself fat by putting a pillow in, and he was giving Buffalo Bill vibes to me.
Yeah, when he's mimicking the voice.
Yeah, I didn't care for him in this movie. I thought
it's funny, like John Hurd and Sam Shepard, like these men of a certain age that have issues with compulsion, it seems like.
Yeah.
Because Sam can't stay away from the young ladies and John Hurd likes food. And because the scene where he tells Julia Darby how much he weighs, like, I'm going to lose it. And then he immediately eats the chocolate on the pillow.
This film feels overly long because of the organization of how the information's presented to us, but also, like, why did we spend so much time with Stanley Tucci's character? Who cares who killed the justices?
Yeah.
He was just a hired assassin. Why do we care about him?
Well, I think it's to mislead us. He's kind of a red herring, really.
Well, but sure, it did not work for me. I thought it was funny that black student you referred to who helps Denzel, he tells Denzel, "Oh, the student you're looking for, he's been placed in a private hospital. He's being detoxified."
Yes.
I thought that was a really odd way for that particular student
to say that.
Yeah. Julia Roberts, again, she's being this character's so dramatic, and at a point she realizes like another person's died, and she's like, they killed him, I can't breathe.
Yeah, they have to pull over so she can get out of the car and sob against Danzel's chest. Yeah.
Part of this hour-long sequence of them trying to get information, we see them going to several places and sort of like pretending to be other people, and all I could think of was like, no one checks ID.
No.
Julia Roberts goes to a safe deposit box, and that lady asks her every question.
Yeah.
Your mama's maiden name, your husband's social security number, address, what you do for work, but never asks for a damn ID.
There's so much of this that couldn't work now.
No.
It just seems egregious because when the little guy whose name is Stump, played by Nicholas Woodison, who's chasing her all over like a crazy little dog, which where James Horner's score goes absolutely schizophrenic with the piano.
That was my next note.
Oh my god,
the score is doing a lot.
It is, and but he would not be able to chase. Well, in today's world where there's cameras everywhere, he just like blatantly try to murder her in this hotel.
Yeah, we have only a couple minutes left, but Denzel Washington as an actor had famously said he was not going to kiss white women on screen.
That's correct, and this was what he was not doing at this time.
And I'm kind of glad he didn't, because there was a point when I thought, because the first night Denzel and Julia meet, like in her hotel, he has to stay, or he's ready to leave, and she's like, "Oh, could you stay? You can sleep on the couch." And I thought, oh no, please tell me there's no romance here. And there isn't. He stays on the couch while she locks herself in her room. She just wants to feel safe because she trusts him. And then we get this montage of him calling a bunch of people, trying to get information. So I did like that they didn't try to make some romance between these two. But that being said, I did feel like because I was reading commentary about the movie, and people like to cite those two actors, Denzel and Julia, as like being a highlight. I didn't think they were giving me anything I could use.
I don't think Denzel has much to do with this.
And I don't think he has much to do. I thought I don't want to say they had no chemistry. I thought they were an off pairing.
they're interesting enough, but I don't.
Uh,
This is not at the level of The Firm, which I just rewatched recently,
yeah, no, not at
or
all.
even A Time to Kill.
Lastly, I just don't understand like she's a smart person and she's like, oh, I just want to go out of the country and I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to tell the pilot when I get on the plane. Like, bitch, if they want to know when this pilot returns back or returns, they're just going to ask him where you took the lady.
But it's like they are bending ass over backwards for you.
And then they don't explain, like, does she have a new identity? The entire world knows her name because we see Denzel on the news and the reporter saying, oh, where's Darby Shaw? Oh, we think Darby Shaw's made up. Like this reporter says, oh, the pop culture, like the zeitgeist thinks that you just made her up. Darby Shaw's a real person. She was a law student at Tulane. Like, how can no one find her? She solved the Pelican Brief, but no one can figure out what this lady is. Like,
I think it's also a film where it's tentatively dipping its toes into the possibility of interracial romance. Because the end of it, if you think about it, it's not unlike The Bodyguard.
yeah,
Going
similar.
away in this plane, he's looking out for her. She's going to be murdered.
I didn't enjoy this. I didn't think it was thrilling enough, clever enough. I didn't think the lead performances were that captivating. I really hate the way the story is arranged. I didn't like that I knew basically every piece to the puzzle within the first 45 minutes. So now I'm just watching people trying to figure out how to prove that. What would you give the Pelican Brief?
Like 2.5.
Yeah, I'll say 2.5 out of 5. It's okay.
It's got some energy to it. It just is bogged down in a lot of weird ways, and I think it's trying too hard.
Yeah. Well, I'll end here. I want to remind people we're on Patreon. Currently, we are, well, coming up this week, we're going to finish recapping the final episodes of True Detective Season 4. We're also doing the current season of RuPaul's Drag Race. We have several requests we need to fulfill for reviews. So there will be a lot coming in this coming week.
CCC.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Ta-ta.